I don't want you to find a house where, there's major issues where now we've spent money on inspections and we're having to come to the seller with the likelihood that the seller may say no. I'd rather try to spot the major, like if there's a lot of little things that we're seeing throughout the house, great. I'm sure there will be more things that we'll try to negotiate, but I'd hate getting into contract on a house, knowing that the roof looks like it's leaking and knowing that the seller may not give us a credit to fix it, or they may not fix it at all. And now we're having to cancel because it's better to lose out on the money you just spent on inspections versus $15,000 on a new roof. But that still sucks. So we will always look out for the top things that need to be fixed and repaired, but not everything, right? Like, what kind of things do you see, Vanessa, that the family members point out?
If the home is older, or like aside of the bathroom, like really nothing important, like just things that don't like. There was a house with a pool. She didn't want her son to have maintenance for some reason, and it was like a beautiful home with a pool. She like saw that as a negative.
So yeah, you need to separate them, and either a phone call later, and you need to say, hey, seriously guys, the longer we wait, the more this is going to cost you. For instance, the first weekend we saw houses, rates dramatically jumped up. They've improved, but you never know what's going to happen. They've improved last week and today. Actually, today started off really great, which is nice. But the longer you wait, the more we're getting into spring, the lower the rates drop, the hotter the market's going to get, especially in spring when people's kids get out of school and they don't want to have to switch school districts. So they're going to be buying a lot. I'm not trying to scare you away, but we need to focus on the thing. Like, this is your first house. Let's focus on the things that are not going to be huge money pits, but a pool versus not a pool. Like, come on. I need you to find a house for you. And I think that I've just seen this way too often where family members get involved and they mean the best for you, but they end up expressing it in the worst way. Like they really end up hurting you. We've seen it so many times. A lot of what I want to talk about in today's meeting is about that. It's about, I've seen loan officers do really poorly with clients. I've seen realtors in our own company, not anyone on the call, but just I've seen real estate agents all over. Anyone in sales, I've always seen this, where some people they have a really hard time, not necessarily selling, but just a hard time in the process of the sales cycle. And a lot of it has to do with they're getting objections up front versus later down the road. Finally, from one of my business coaches, they really pointed out that when they had the same issue, it all had to do with tonality. Remember that the current statistic based on whoever is running the study is 90 to 95% of what people hear you say is through body language and tonality. Usually people make a decision through first impressions within 4 to 7 seconds of talking to you. So everything is expressed through that body language and tonality. And they say that it takes, this is a Harvard study, it takes 7 more interactions with you to change their initial perspective of you that they determine in 7 seconds. It's all subconscious. So if I say, okay, I want to, sales is sales, it's always going to be the same thing. Every sale is the same. It's because I start to learn and pay attention to my tone of voice and how it can handle something. So for instance, someone comes and I want them, they're kind of nitpicking a house, their family members nitpicking a house, and they look at me. I want them to look at me as their representative and their advisor. Hey, I get that the house is older. That doesn't mean that the house is bad. What we need to focus on is if the house is neglected or just needs some updating. There's a huge difference. A lot of people love to buy cars from older people if the car is clean, because it usually means that it was well maintained and it's just older, right? There's a difference between that and a newer car that pulls up and a teenager gets out and the car's beat up and there's trash everywhere. We all know that there's probably more problems. Who knows when the oil has been changed? It's the same with a house. So when we're walking through, I need you to seriously focus on the things that are major repair issues and the things that, it's okay. We can update that stuff down the road, because I'll tell you what, we're going to get a better deal on those houses. If you pay attention to my tone of voice, it's an even keel, calm, but I start to talk in a more assertive tone versus other times in the conversation. I'm like, hey, look, it needs some updating. It's okay, right? That's kind of like that even calm, okay, yeah, it's fine that it's older. It's fine that it needs updating. But I want to express confidence through my tone of voice, through my body language. Like, we do have a lot of people in our brokerage who say the word like a lot. No in particular on this call. I say it sometimes too and have to catch myself. But also, you want to pay attention to how you dress as well, because your appearance is going to say a lot. And I want people, like, a lot of times I'll overdress and dress very professional initially and then tone down, especially as summer comes and it gets really hot outside, because I want that first impression to be just on point. And then the next time I might, my shirt may not be tucked, it'll be untucked. And same thing when I'm meeting the agent. If I know I'm showing a bunch of houses and they're during open houses, I'm going to dress more professionally, because if that listing agent's there, I want them to see me as, a professional and assertive, right? Because same thing, tonality, body language, it's going to say a lot. It's why, Alethea in our brokerage, she has her own house in contract that we're about to get the clear to close any minute now. But when she was negotiating, it's, hey, agent, like, I'm really excited. I want to buy this house for me. What is the seller looking for? I'm ready to go. We're really qualified. Our lender is the broker of our company. He's done a really good job, pre-vetting us, right? You hear that, like, excited, like, I'm excited to work with you. And then that even keel tone of voice for the serious moments. Like, okay, seriously speaking, we're ready to go. Okay, but hey, what does the seller want? Like, I'm excited to do what the seller wants. Okay, they accepted a different offer. That person got cold feet, canceled. They came back. I'm like, okay, now is when you switch your tonality. And she did a great job of this on her own to, oh yeah, so, it's interesting because you didn't bother countering us. You just got another offer. I am interested in the house, but it was kind of annoying not to get a counter offer. And, rates have they've gotten worse since when I submitted my first offer. So let me talk with my lender. Let me talk with my husband, and I'll see if we can come back. I will say that it took 3 days for you all to make a decision before. If I come back with an offer, can you make a decision by tomorrow? Right? Do you hear those? Try to pay attention to those fluctuations in tone of voice. Because the tone of voice, even though it's over the phone, can really, implement what you want without having to show the body language. So it's the same, and I think back, like, Nate does a great job when he's meeting with clients in tone of voice and body language. But then you got to pay attention to, right, when you start to get a little bit of a feeling towards someone, right? So he had a deal close recently where maybe the husband was a little standoffish to him. And that's where you have to start adjusting yourself to that individual, because you start to feel like, okay, he might not like that I'm confident because he might not be confident. And right, the wife knows me. And so there's things you do, right? When women do listing appointments, they should be staring at the wife 90% of the time and the husband 10% of the time. When guys do a listing appointment, they should be staring at the husband 90% of the time and the wife 10% of the time. It's just a natural thing you got to do. But when you're going and you're doing this, I think that it's important for everyone to really pay attention to their tonality, because you will start to get objections down the road later in the call or later, on the second showing or the third showing versus right up front with clients, because they're going to start to listen to you more. So that's the big thing I wanted to talk about today. Obviously, not every time is perfect, right? But the majority of the time, the objections that you get, you're going to be able to handle a lot different. Don't be afraid, though, to also have those tough conversations around family members and stuff like that. Like, even if I'm showing a house and they love it and I can smell the mold, I can smell the mildew, and I know we're going to get into contract and there's going to be issues, I'm going to have that conversation. Oh, well, do you think the seller's going to ask for this to be fixed? I don't know. And that's what you have to be prepared for. What if they don't fix this? I am good at negotiating and I will try to get you a credit, but we need to have a walk away point. If you see a big issue now, let's ask for the credits up front, unless if there's a ton of offers, like how much do you want this house? And these are the tones of voices. I really encourage anyone who's new or anyone who's having trouble locking in clients and where they feel like I'm showing a lot of houses to people and they're not pulling the trigger after 3 or 4 houses. You need to start rehearsing. Call me, or your mentor, Nate or Viviana or Mary, whoever, and start to role play a little bit, start to rehearse and practice. But I think that it starts with just being aware of your tonality and body language and paying attention to it. If you pay attention to it, it's going to be a lot better. If you're starting off, and that's the thing too, that my coach had told me, is he's like, most people, what they do is their tonality is not the same as what they're saying, which for your subconscious mind, you get really just thrown off. What do I mean? Someone asks you for a piece of advice and it's time for you to talk in a more representative, calm, cool, collected tone, but you're just you're over the top bubbly, yeah, honestly, we got to be very careful about what we ask for. And their mind is expecting a tonality and a body language of, hey, this is what we got to do, like a serious talk. And I'm getting this bubbly personality and I'm thrown off subconsciously. My brain cannot handle that and I'm having trouble computing it. And that's when you're going to have issues. And honestly, when I think back to everyone, we're seeing this with our loan officers right now. I'm like, have a call with me that you had with the real estate agent. They call me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why. It's your tone of voice. It's just off. Yeah, it's bad. So please reach out and practice. Because the second thing I wanted to talk about is the reason why we switch these meetings to every other week is so that the weeks I don't have meetings, I can have one-on-one calls. I had a call with several new loan officers who have joined our company. And they say, hey, of everyone in your company, so real estate agents and loan officers, who's doing the best, and what are the top 2 reasons why? And honestly, when I think back, the top reason is they all have this tone of voice, this body language, the way they carry themselves. It's not that they're confident, it's that they express confidence through their tone of voice and body language. But that's the first. The second big thing that I'm seeing, that's the common. If I just look at, okay, what's the common thing all these people are doing? I talk to them once a week. Literally, there's nothing special about me, but there is something special about having communication with someone who is coaching you and mentoring you, or someone that has a vested interest in you. And that usually is going to be me for most people. If you're being mentored by Nate or Viviana or Chase or Mary, that's who you should be talking to. But talking to that person once a week, this is why we plan on doing the meetings every other week so I can do more one-on-one calls. I have a call with Chanel. She's not here, so I can share it. A couple days ago about her business and what can we do and activities. And she wants to have, remember, there's 4 pillars of business that I have talked about before, and I'll be sharing more at a later date with everyone. You need to pick one of the pillars, one of the types of businesses to focus on. She's chosen to work a referral-based business, which usually means working and growing your sphere of influence. So how is she going to do that? There's a lot of activities that she can do when she's not working, when she just gets off a 12-hour shift, because her mind, is in a haze. She just wants to unwind, and she can sit and just like and comment on people's posts and build a relationship with them there. But there's things she needs to do very intentionally that are going to maximize her time. And we talked about 3 coffee or lunch appointments a week. And she doesn't know how she's going to figure that in. I said, listen, it got to a point where it's almost overwhelming for her. You need to spend the same amount of time. If you have a mindset that immediately goes to, I don't know if I can fit that in. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm confident. I don't know. most of you who are new need to spend an equal amount of time dreaming and envisioning yourself. What would it be like in my life? What would change in my life if I started closing 3 to 4 deals a month with the average commission and price point in the area I want to work? So for her, it's Folsom, but let's just conservatively say 10,000 per deal. So 3 to 4 is 30 to 40,000. What changes in your life? $30 to $40,000 a month in income. And you need to seriously spend an equal amount of time envisioning that, imagining that, thinking about where you would eat, what you would be doing, how you would be talking, how you'd be carrying yourself, what you could brag about. Same amount of time doing that as you're doing prospecting for business. So if I'm saying I'm going to dedicate 20 hours a week to my real estate business, 10 is dreaming, 10 is work for a while until your mindset starts to switch to, okay, Cameron told me I need to go from 3 appointments to 5 appointments a week with people. I don't know how I'm going to fit that into my schedule, but I'll figure out a way. I will figure it out. And that's what you want to start having. But most of the time, our minds go to, I can't do that. I can't add that in. I can't do this. I'm not good with technology. Once your mind starts to switch to, oh, for $40,000 a month, I will for sure figure that out. That's what we want. Because I told her, I said, I want you to start to switch that mentality. Sure enough, what ended up happening, she just had a conversation with someone while her daughter had her nail appointment. That person, her boyfriend wants to sell because they want to move to Tennessee. So now they're going to have a conversation. She said she likes to go for a walk. So she set a walking appointment with her friend. Like, you will figure it out. Your brain will naturally figure this stuff out as you're focusing on it. So like, I have really big goals and I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to hit it. Opportunities start to present themselves. People that need to come into your life will start to present themselves. I was thinking, okay, how am I going to grow a company from this to this? Well, sure enough, I get connected with the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belford, and then some other big people who I've gotten to talk to one-on-one. And the things that they told me, I'm just like, holy cow, why didn't I think of that? That's incredible. I never even thought about that. So this stuff comes into your life, but you gotta change your mindset. So going back to it, top 2 things: focus on our tonality and focus on our body language when we're talking with our clients. Second thing is reach out once a week. You all are independent contractors. So you pay to be a part of the brokerage. Our mortgage side, they all have to be W-2 and employees. So I have to pay for a lot of tools. So I pretty much have to tell them, no, you're going to be talking to me once a week. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. But sorry, someone dropped off a package. I'm going to edit that out of the recording. But does this make sense to everyone that it's like, the more you reach out, it's just a touch base and say, hey, this is what I'm working on. If you want to reach out and practice dialogue or practice tonality, we can do that as well. Talking through deals. I think even just talking through negotiating deals can save or help your client, which adds bragging points for your client when they refer you to other people and so many other things. So is that helpful, everyone?